पाराशर्य वचस्सुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धि मध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्नि विदीपन व्यपगत प्राणात्म संजीवनी पूर्वाचार्य सुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघात दूरस्थितां आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम्. To Sanatana Dharma, we are all aware that though we may give or attach a lot of importance to Srimad Rāmāyanam, referred to as Rāmāyana in general, Sri Mahābhāratam, referred to as Mahābhārata in general, or to the Purānās of them, Srimad Bhāgavata Mahapuranam or Sri Vishnu Puranam, both of these become very, very important. So, be it Rāmāyana, Mahābhārata, Vishnu Purana or Bhāgavata, we attach a lot of importance to them. We either go into the Parayana mode wherein we recite, or we give pravachanams, discourses on them. Nevertheless, to all these scriptures that we revere, follow and respect, the taru, the root, is the Vedas. So Vedas become very, very important to Sanatana Dharma. In other words, if there is no Vedas, there is no Sanatana Dharma. So our Purvacharyas, our preceptors have opined that conservation, preservation and propagating Vedas is the utmost important duty for every person who follows and respects Sanatana Dharma. That being said, we need to understand what Vedas generally mean. The Dhatu Shabdam for the Vedas states it is that source which helps us know. So the moment we say to know, read Vedas, Vedas become the source of knowledge. Hence, Vedas are nothing but big archives of knowledge compiled to us, given to us by our Rishis. Interestingly, when we discuss Siddhantam, philosophy, we deal with three essential tools. One is Pratyaksham, perception. Second is Anumanam. When we speak of Anumanam, it is inference. Third is Shabdam. Shabda Shastram is the Vedas because it is sound. We may be a bit confused. What is sound and why is Vedas related to sound? Please do understand that many acharyas, many scholars have opined that to say that Vedas are in Sanskritam may be technically wrong. Though we have Srimad Rāmāyanam, Sri Mahābhāratam, Srimad Bhāgavatam, Sri Vishnu Puranam, then the Manudharma Shastram, then the Samhitas, then the Smritis, then we have the Kavyams of Kalidasa, Bharavi, Magha, Sri Harsha and so on. They are all in Sanskritam, there is no doubt. And the language in Vedas has inspired Valmiki, Vyasa, the Rishis, Kalidasa, Bharavi and so on to compose in Sanskrit. So Sanskritam as a language is very close to the Bhasha, the language in our Vedas. So what language are the Vedas? So to say that that is Sanskritam is wrong. You can say Sanskritam looks very, very close to the language of the Vedas. So what is the language of the Vedas? The language of the Vedas is the sound. Sound dominates the letters or the words or the sentences we use in Vedas. Why? This is an example that I often cite. Let us take the Hindi language. In that, we might have come across the word kal. What is the meaning of kal? Kal either means yesterday or tomorrow. Kal मैं आया था means I had come yesterday or I came yesterday. kal main aaunga. So it means I shall come tomorrow. So the same spelling kala, the same pronunciation kal becomes either yesterday or tomorrow based on the context. Aya tha is past tense. So kal should mean yesterday. Aunga is future tense. So it should mean tomorrow. In most languages, we will attribute the meaning to any word either knowing the word or on the context. Let us take English language. Peace, I say. What is the spelling of peace? Some may say P-I-E-C-E. Some may say P-E-A-C-E. Are both the words correct? Yes. What is P-E-A-C-E? Peace means Shanti. So if somebody wants peace, that means they want quietude. They want to be in bliss. That is peace. Suppose somebody says, give me a piece of the cake, then it is P-I-E-C-E. So how do we understand what spelling we have to put? The pronunciation is the same. Then we again base it on the context. If I say, give me a piece, then the spelling cannot be P-I-E-C-E, because before that you cannot put the indefinite article a. I want peace. This spelling cannot be P-I-E-C-E because in P-E-A-C-E it is an abstract noun. So you generally don't put an indefinite article before that, a or an. So we have seen the Hindi language where for the same word, same spelling, same pronunciation, there are two meanings. So we base it on the context. In English language, we have seen that there is a same pronunciation but two different words, that is spellings. So we again base it on what articles we use. Most languages that we know, international languages or the languages we speak in India, is all based on the context of that particular paragraph. Then understanding the context, we interpret that particular line. But in Vedas it is not so. If I say Ajaha, it means Brahma. Ajaha, it means goat. So Ajaha, you put two dots in Sanskritam, right? So Ajaha either means Brahma or the goat. But how will I know where it is denoted as Brahma and where it is denoted as a goat? Based on the sound. So if I rise it high, then it becomes Brahma. If I go down, it becomes goat. So Brahma and goat will be seated besides each other. They will be waiting for the sound where I increase and where I decrease. That is why most of the research scholars and our acharyas have opined that do not say that Vedas are in Sanskritam. They are in a certain language and Sanskritam is highly influenced by that language. It seems so much so that both of them are inseparable. Yes, but the Vedic language is more derived based on sound. That being said, how have our Rishis who have given us the Vedic texts compiled them? Who are these Rishis? For certain mandalams, for certain prashnams, for certain kandams, we know that there are Rishis. But in certain cases, we do not know what is the name of that Rishi, because the Rishis have always felt that their names should never be used. They have never kept the copyright with them. They have thought that something which is beneficial to the world should be given for free. I should not enjoy that exclusive copyrights. One. Second thing, the Rishis did not compose the Vedas. They could decipher the sound in the ecosystem, and that sound, when interspersed with the letters, gave us the Vedic mantras or the Suktams. So the Rishis did have the ability bestowed on them by the Paramatma to decipher the sound. Hence, Vedas are in a sound language, and we do not know when it was compiled, so it is time immemorial. And the Vedic texts have been given to us in various formats. Certain formats are in the Gadya Rupam. certain are in Padya Rupam. So Padya in Sanskritam denotes poetry. So Rigvedam is in the form of Padyam. Yajurvedam is in the form of Gadyam, prose. And when we convert certain mantras of the Rigveda as given to us by the Rishis in a musical format, in Gana Rupam, it becomes Samavedam. So, have the Rigvedic mantras been used to convert to Samavedam? Yes. There is this line which says so. Yesha u eva sama Vagvaisa amaishaha sa chamascheti tat samnaha samatvam yadvesha samaha plushina samo mashakena samo gananena sama sarvena tasmadvesha sama yebhistribhirlokaihi samo anena ashnute samnaha sa yujyam salokatam yesha metat sama veda. So here they say how certain mantras being recited in a certain way, we will use the word rik because it is generally told as a rik for Rigvedam. So certain riks when they are sung in a certain format become Samavedam. So we have understood that there is a poetic form to the riks. So then it becomes Rigvedam. That when being sung becomes Samavedam. When there is prose which is Gadyam, it becomes Yajurvedam. When certain mantras have been compiled to us after being chosen from Rig, Yajuhu, Samam, it becomes Atharva Vedam or Atharvana Vedam. Here we have the name of the Rishi Atharva who has given to us. Otherwise, for the first three Vedas, we do not know who is the Rishi. Though we do say for this particular Mandalam, this is the Rishi, that came much later. But we do not know who were the set of Rishis who came and deciphered and gave it to us. Hence, Vedas are time immemorial. When I say time immemorial, some of you may be wondering. So, do you say that before creation it was there? I am not getting into those details. All that I am saying is we do not know who compiled them for us. When we do not know who did when, it is time immemorial. So it's called Anadi, Ananta, limitless Vedam. Now, coming to the Vedas, the essence of Vedas is the pranavam, which is often denoted and known as omkaram. Omkaram is a unique sound which is found in the Vedas that has three syllables associated with it. It is akaram, ukaram, makaram, a, u, ma. So these sounds put together become pranavam, or which is often referred to as omkaram. Now let us see how the three sounds together which forms omkaram is often referred to as the essence of the Vedas. Rigvedam in the first mandalam has the first rik. Agnimile purohitam yajnasya deva mritvijam hotaram ratna dhatamam. This is Rigvedam. Rigveda's last mandalam's last rik goes like this. Samaniva akutihi samana hridayannivaha samanamastu omano yathavaha susaha sati. So the first rik begins with Agnimile purohitam. It begins with the sound a, akaram. Rigveda ends with the sound susaha sati, which is ikaram. So Rigveda begins with akaram and ends with ikaram. Let us see what Yajurveda begins with. Yajurveda begins with Ishetvorjetva vayavastha devova savita prapayatu sreshtatamaya karmana. So it begins with Ishe, ikaram. What is the last mantra of the Yajurvedam? It ends with Samudro bandhuhu, u. So it begins with E and ends with u. Rigveda begins with A and ends with E. So Rigveda begins with A, ends with E. Yajurveda begins with E and ends in U. So Rigvedam to Yajurvedam is akaram to ukaram. Now let us understand Samavedam. Samavedam ends or has the unique singing format associated with it. In the traditional classical music pattern, we have denoted ragas under 72 categories. They are referred to as Melakarta ragas. When we divide 72, when we denote them through a circle and divide them alongside the center, we get two different halves. The first set of 36 ragas, the second set of 36 ragas. What are they? They are Shuddha Madhyamam and Pratimadhyama ragas. Shuddha Madhyama ragas will be denoted by Ma 1. Pratimadhyama ragas will be denoted by Ma 2. So essentially, to split the ragas, we use Madhyamam, Ma, sound. For example, Sarigama Padani Sa, Sarigama. This Ma is Ma 1. Sarigama Padani Sa, Sanidapama, Sarigama Ma. This is Ma 2. Sarigama Ma 1. Sarigama Ma 2. So if you look at the Madhyamam, it has the sound Im. So for the classical music we use Madhyamam because that is the middle of the swaras. Shadjam, Rishabam, Gandharam, Sariga. Then you have Makaram, Madhyamam. Then you have got Sarigama, Padhani, Panchamam, Dhaivatam and Nishadam. So in the middle comes Madhyamam, so which has the sound Ma. So Rigveda's Rik when sung in a certain format becomes Sama. So Samaganam or Samavedam is singing. For singing we have to use music. In music we have got Madhyamam. Madhyama's sound is Yim, Ma. So Ma, Makaram is in Samavedam. Akaram to Ukaram is in Rigvedam, Yajurvedam. Rig, Yajuhu is A, U. Samavedam is Ma, So Akara, Ukara, Makaram together is Pranavam. So these three Vedas put together become Pranavam. Now, let us now understand how sound becomes very, very important for the Vedas. There is one Prachina Shlokam, a very ancient shloka. Vedanam swara uccharanasya avashyakatatvam uchyate andhakare deepikabhir gachanna skalati kvachit evam swaraihi pranitanam bhavantyarthaha sputa iti. So what here they say is to a person who has to walk into a large hall which is dark, the only way for him to proceed further is to carry a lamp in his hand. The lamp will give that light and will show him that way. So Swaram becomes very important. The commentator goes on to state, Atra Swara Sahitenaiva Veda Shabdocharanaha Kartavyaha Ityabhidiyate Swaramantrena Swaram Antarena Pathyate chet antharvaham bhavati iti Paniniya shikshayam sa udaharanena pratipadyate. In Panini's sutras and later Patanjali's Mahabhashyam, there is one anecdote which is often cited to bring forth the importance of reciting the Vedic meters with the proper sound. It goes like this. Mantrohinaha swarato varnato va mithya prayukto na tamarthamaha savagvajro yajamanam hinasti yathendra shatruhu swarato paradhat. There is one story that the spiritual guide of the Devas, especially to Indra, was Brihaspati. At one point in time, Brihaspati and Indra had a tiff, because of which Brihaspati left his position. He relinquished his position and went away. But keeping a spiritual guide was very essential to Indra. So he brought forth Trishiras, the son of Tvashta, as his spiritual guide. It did so happen that at one point in time, he saw the increasing power of the Asuras. So he waged a war with Trishiras. At that point in time, Tvashta, who wanted to avenge this attitude of Indra, because Indra was in the winning spree. So Tvashta performed a yajnam for the benefit of his son. And as he was performing the yajnam, he had to give the havis to Agni. He had to say, "Oh, through this sacrifice, I invoke the blessings of Agni. Please give more power to my son so that he will win over his enemy Indra." Indra was the enemy to his son, Indra Shatru. So Indra was the very enemy to his son. So let the power of my son who is fighting Indra increase many-fold times, was his thought. But while he was giving the havis, instead of increasing the syllable at the first letter and decreasing it at the second letter, he did the vice versa for the word Indra Shatru. So the moment he did that, after he uttered this word, the power of Indra increased many-fold times. We may be wondering why. The word is the same, Indra Shatru. But if the sound is changed, instead of Indra Shatru as Indra Shatru, if you go up, then it means let the power of that enemy who is Indra, who is actually fighting my son, increase many-fold times. Initially the power was to go to his son, but because of the wrong pronunciation and wrong ucharanam, swarocharanam, it went to Indra, and Indra could easily defeat Tvashta's son in the battle. So the shloka says, did you all wonder, or did you all think that Indra was the one who killed this Tvashta's son Trishiras? No, it was not Indra who killed. It was the wrong ucharanam, wrong sounding of the father which became Vajrayudam and killed the son. Savagvajro yajamanam hinasti yathendra shatruhu swaratoparadhat, says the shlokam. Now, how is the sounding system in the Vedas? Tadrisham svaranam bhedaha naradiya shikshayam nirupitaha udattascha anudattascha svaritav prachitau tatha nidhatrischeti vigneyaha swarabhedastu panchadha. So if you take up any Vedic book, either you can buy it online, or whether you want to download it as a PDF format, please check. Certain letters will not have any symbol above and under them. They are all udattas. You don't have to shout. You don't have to go baritone. It is in the middle. Udatta. Then anuddata. Anuddata is, it is not udatta. That means you have to go much down. So it will be marked with a horizontal line. You have to go down. Then there are certain letters where you have to go up. That is denoted by a single line above that letter. It is called swaritaha. There are certain letters which need the double stretching. So it is denoted by two parallel standing lines above that letter. Then there is a fifth sound called as prachayaha. So all this put together, udatta, anuddata, swarita, dirghaswarita and prachayaha. These are the 5 ways with which the sounding pattern is associated with the Vedas. Udattascha anudattascha swarita prachitau tatha nighatrischeti vigneyaha swarabhedastu panchadha, says this particular shloka. Now, please also note that Rik in a certain format becomes Samavedam. Now for the Rig Vedam and Yajur Vedam, we have seen Udatta, Swarita, Dirgha Swarita, Anuddata and Prachaya. Now Udatta, Anuddata and Swarita, these 3 give rise to the 7 swaras, Sapta swaras. This is how the shlokam goes. Udatto Nishada Gandhara Anudatta Rishabha Daivataha Swarita Prabhava Hete Shadja Madhyama Panchamaha. So for Swarita, for the letter that goes up from Swarita, comes Shadjam, comes Madhyamam, and comes Panchamam. From Udatta comes Nishadam and Gandharam. From Anudatta comes Rishabham and Daivatam. So these are the 7 letters, 7 swaras that come from these 3 sounds, typical sounds, the ancient sounds of the Vedas. Now, as we have discussed in simple terms about what is Vedam, what is that sound pattern, how important is the sound pattern, you're using the anecdote of Indrashatru word, we must also note that these patterns which are associated with the Vedas, the Vedic mantras, may not be essentially associated with some of the Upanishads. Nevertheless, Upanishads form an integral part of the Vedas. One way how we have classified Vedas is based on Gadyam, Padyam, Ganam and so on. So we have Rik, Yajuh, Sama and Atharvanam. So this is one way of seeing it. There is one place in Srimad Rāmāyanam where Hanuman is described. In our previous course of Bhāratiya Sāra Bodhani level 1 as well, we have seen this. Rama looks to Lakshmana and praises Hanuman's eloquence. He says, Nan Rigveda Vinitasya na Yajurveda Dharinaha na Samaveda Vidushaha Shakyamevam Prabhashitum. Nan Rigveda Vinitasya, even a person who is adept in the Rigveda, who develops Vinita as an innate quality, na Yajurveda Dharinaha, for a person who has mastered the Yajurveda and who develops the Dharana Shakti, na Samaveda Vidushaha, even to a person who is adept in Samavedam, who becomes a Vidwan, Vidusha Prapti, that person will not be able to match the eloquence of Hanuman, is what Rama tells to Lakshmana. So Vedas become very important to us. Now we have got Rig, Yajuh, Sama, Atharvanam. Each of the Vedas have 4 divisions in them: Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita and Upanishad. The first 3 rows, Brahmanam of the 4 Vedas, Aranyakam of the 4 Vedas, Samhita of the 4 Vedas. These 3, Brahmanam, Aranyakam, Samhita, the 3 rows of the 4 Vedas together constitute Jnana Kandam. When we see the 4th part, which is the Jnana Kandam, there is this ancient verse, Yecha Veda Vido Vipraha, Yecha Adhyatma Chetasaha, Tevadanti Mahatmanam Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam, Yecha Veda Vido Vipraha. There are people who give prime importance to Karma Kandam, Brahmanam, Aranyakam and Samhita, the first 3 portions. Yecha Adhyatma Chetasaha, those people who give importance to the Jnana Kandam, which is the Upanishads. Both together, Karma Kandam following people, Jnana Kandam following people. Tevadanti Mahatmanam, those Mahatmas together say, Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam. Sanatana Dharma is nothing but Krishna himself. Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam. Now, that being said, we need to understand what in the Vedas or Karma Kandam are we going to discuss. Instead of discussing some random shlokas or random suktas or random portions of the Vedas, it was felt by my humble self that we could discuss certain popular, regularly practiced, regularly recited and extremely revered portions of the Vedas called as Suktams. Uktam is said. Suktam or Suktam, that which is being said well, is Suktam. It is being said well. So, amongst the Suktams that we know, Purusha Suktam is extremely popular, very highly recited and revered by people, by devotees across the country and in the diaspora. So, we shall discuss the mantras of Purusha Suktam. Here Padma Puranam says so. Idam Purusha Suktam hi sarvavedeshu pathyate. Ataha shrutibhyas sarvebhyo balavat samudiritam. Idam Purusha Suktam hi yajushashthyadasharchakam. Rigvede shodasharcham syat panchavajase neyake. Samavede tu saptarcham tathaiva tharvane picha vedeshu yadusham vedam avalambhya vadamyaham. So in each of the Vedas, this Purusha Suktam is found. It is very interesting that Purusha Suktam is one Suktam which is found in all the 4 Vedas. You have got this in Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. And in Yajur Veda, you have got in both the Yajur Vedas, Shukla Yajur Vedam and Krishna Yajur Vedam. Just that the number of mantras could vary. In some it could be 15, in some it could be 12, in some it could be 18, in some it could be just 7. But Purusha Suktam is found in all the 4 Vedas. What is the greatness of Purusha Suktam? So they say, Vedeshu Paurusham Suktam, Dharmashastreshu Manavam, Bhārate Bhagavad Gita, Purāneshu cha Vaishnavam. Vedeshu Paurusham Suktam. Amongst the Vedic hymns that we all know, the best is the Purusha Suktam. Vedeshu Paurusham Suktam. Dharmashastreshu Manavam. Amongst Dharma Shastras that we know, Manu Dharma Shastra is the greatest, says the shloka. Bhārate Bhagavad Gita, though Sri Mahābhāratam may have Vidura Niti, Yakshaf Prashnam, Sanat Sujatiyam, Vishnu Sahasranamam and Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is denoted the best. Bhārate Bhagavad Gita, Purāneshu cha Vaishnavam. Amongst the Purānās that we know, that have been given to us by the Rishis, Vaishnavam, Vishnu Purana is the best. So, we have to understand that Purusha Suktam is a very important portion of the Vedas. While we discuss Purusha Suktam, I am going to tell you the testimonials, those places where Purusha Suktam is highly revered. Padma Puranam says, Vedeshu Paurusham Suktam Puraneshu cha Vaishnavam Bhārate Bhagavad Gita Dharmashastreshu Manavam. Yoga Vasishtha says, Yaha Paurushasya Suktasya Janatyartham Yatha Tatha स जन्मनीह मुक्तस्यात् पुराणेषु च दर्शनात् विष्णु पुरुष सूक्तार्थः पुरुषो अध्यवसीयते. आपस्तंभा सेस सहस्रशीर्षाः पुरुष इत्युपहितां पुरुषेण नारायणेन यजमान उपतिष्ठते. आपस्तंभा सेस. Next, Vadhula Sutra says, Narayana Drishtena Purusha Daivatonopahitam Chitim Upatishtamana Iha Janmani Purushe Bhaved Iti. This is what Vadhula Sutra says. Now, Purusha Sukta is sung towards whom? It is sung to the Paramatma Narayana or Vishnu. Do we have evidence of that? Yes. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, when Bhumi Devi suffers at the hands of the demons, she goes and seeks the asylum at Brahma. So the shloka goes like this. Bhumir driptra nripavyaja daityanika shatayutaihi akranta bhumibharena brahmanam sharanam yayau. In the form of a cow, she goes and weeps before Brahma. Now, she goes and weeps in the form of a cow before Brahma. Here goes the shloka. Gaur bhutva Ashrumukhi khinna krandanti karunam vibhoho upasthitantike tasmai vyasanam swamavochata. Now, as they all approach the Lord, they start singing praise of the Lord through Purusha Suktam. Tatra gatva jagannatham devadevam vrishakapim purusham purusha suktena upatasthe samahitaha. So they all sing praises of the Lord through Purusha Sukta. But who is this Purusha? We have understood the importance of Vedas, we have understood the divisions in the Vedas, 2 by 2 matrix or 4 by 4 matrix and all we have understood, sir. But who is this Purusha? Purusha Sukta Pratipadyam Param Brahma. So, who is being mentioned in the Purusha Suktas is nothing but Parabrahma. Purusha Suktasya Upanishadascha Ekarthata. So, the one who is denoted by Purusha Suktam, which is found in the Vedas, and the essence of the Upanishads are the same. What is the greatness of Purusha Suktam? Purusha Suktasya Mahatvam Kim. What is the greatness? we understand that there are many commentators to the Vedic mantras. So the first amongst them is Uvatacharya, who is said to have lived between 1018 and 1060 AD. Next we have the great Acharya called as Bhattavaskaracharya. Bhattavaskara's works have been commented by the later commentators, so he is very genuine. When I say genuine, he very much lived. Bhattavaskaracharya lived around the 1200 AD. Now going to Sayanacharya, one of the greatest commentators who gave the commentary for all the Vedas. He lived between the 14th and the 15th century. Mahidharacharya lived between the 15th and the 16th century. Sriranga Ramanuja Muni, who is called as Upanishad Bhashyakara, lived between 1670 and 1750 AD. Now, how do we understand whom this word purusha denotes? Bhagavaniti shabdoyam tatha purusha ityapi nirupadhicha vartete vasudeve sanatane is Padma Purana Vachanam. Now let us go to Skandam. Yatha Bhaskara Shabdoyam Aditye Pratitishthati. Like how Bhaskara generally denotes Lord Surya. Yatha cha Agnau Brihad Bhanur Yatha Vayu Sadagatihi. Like how Vayu is denoted by certain words. Like how Agni is denoted by certain words. Yatha Purusha Shabdoyam Vasudeveva Tishthite. So like how Purusha denotes Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva means Vasudeva's son. How it denotes Krishna. Was it popular then is a question. Here we have Panini's Sutra which says Vasudevavum, and that aphorism has been commented upon by Patanjali. So, Yatha Purusha Shabdoyam Vasudeveva Tishthate Yatha Shankara Shabdoyam Mahādeve Vyavasthitaha. Like how the word Shankara, Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha, the one who does Sham, the one who gives happiness, the one who bestows auspiciousness, the one who takes away the obstacles, that Shankara is nobody but Mahadeva. Yatha Shankara Shabdoyam Mahadeve Vyavasthitaha, says this particular shloka. Next, Narasimha Puranam tells, Sayeva Vasudevoyam Purushaha Prochate Budhaihi Prakriti Sparsharahithyam Swatantriyad Vaishnavadapi Sayeva Vasudevoyam Sakshat Purusha Uchyate Stri Prayam Itarat Sarvam Jagat Brahma Purassaram. So Vaishnava Puranam, Vishnu Puranam also says that Purusha Shabdam, the word Purusha denotes Vishnu only. Samhritya lokan purushodhishete Srivatsya Lakshma Purushasya Sakshat. As the Lord was born, Samhritya lokan Purushadhishete. Now that Purusha lives within our body, so he is called as Purusha. Now, Purusho Vasudevo iti siddham yoyam Narayana Sahasraraksha. Bhattabhaskara says, Agnau Purusha Kritau Chiyamanayam Purusha Shiraha Upahitasya Shiraha Kritva Purusha Kritim Upahitam Purushena Narayanena Yajamanam Upatishthate. Sayanacharya says, Atha Narayana Namna Purusha Sukta Namna cha Vyavahriyamano Nuvake Uchyate. Next, Purushaha Puru Bahu Sanoti iti Purushaha. Now I am taking the meaning of Purushaha from Vishnu Sahasranamam. So the 14th Nama is Purushaha. Puru Bahu Sanoti iti Purushaha. The one who is so generous, magnanimous, gives and grants whatever the devotee legitimately asks for is called as Purusha. Puru Bahu Sanoti iti Purushaha. Then there is another meaning, says the commentator. Muktebhyo Vang Manasa Parichedya Guna Vibhava Swanubhavam Dadati. The one who gives this equal anubhavam to both mumukshus and jivatmas. Then Shankara says, Puram Shariram Tasmin Shete iti Purushaha. The one who lives within the body, Puri Shete, is Purushaha. Athava Purushu Utkarsha Shalishu Sidati iti. Purnam Purupurnam Mokshakyam Phalam Swatmanam eva Sanoti. Dadati iti Purushaha iti Bhagavata Tika. So, Satyasanta Tirtha says that Puru Purnam Mokshakyam Phalam, the one who grants moksham, is called as Purusha. So, in the 407th Nama, we have seen 14th Nama. In the 407th Nama, Purusha, Bhattar, the commentator, says, Parama Pavanatvat Purusha, the one who is very pure, the one who is very clean, the one who is very holy is called as Purusha. Sarva Papasya Sadhanat. Shankara says, the one who has the ability to burn away the sins committed by his devotees. Next is the Madhva Sannyasi who says, Purnatvat Palakatvat Purusha, the one who creates, sustains and protects all his creation. So he says, Piparti, he goes on to say, Purnatvat Palakatvat Purusha. And as we continue down, Purati, Agre Gachati iti Purusha, the one who goes ahead. Let us assume there is a man and the woman, his wife, walking together. Who is Purusha? We will say Purusha means the man. No, the one who walks in the front is called Purusha. If that lady walks ahead of that man, she becomes Purusha. So, Purati Agre Gachati iti Purusha. Piparti Purayati Balam Yaha, the one who fills us, the devotees, with all strength is called as Piparti Purayati Balam Yaha. The one who lies inside the township, either inside the Shariram or inside the Jivatma, is Purishete Yaha, Purusha. Next is Vishnu is treated as a Purusha. How? Purusangye Shariresmin Shayanat Purusho Harihi. The one who is treated by the Purusha word is none but Hari, says this particular shloka. Now, there is this Prashnopanishad which says, Yaha Punaretam Trimat ओमित्येनैनैवाक्षरेण परम पुरुषम अभिध्यायीत स तेजसी पुरुषेण संपन्नः यथा पादोदरत्वचा निर्मुच्यत एवं हवैस पाप्मना विनिर्मुक्तः. The one who is the inner spirit to the sun is contemplated by the letter pranavam. The one who meditates on this Purusha is freed from all the sins. So, we have got a Purusha Shabdam which denotes Narayana or Vishnu. So, beginning from the sound in the Vedas to the interpretation and the meaning given based on the Vedas, we have seen how much of importance is attached to this particular Vedic recitation. Now, in Purusha Sukta, we, as discussed before, we find that it is found in all the 4 Vedas. Nevertheless, the excerpts that we are going to witness is from the Purusha Sukta, which is very popular from the Krishna Yajur Vedam. So, that is the Purusha Sukta's meaning that we are going to see. The first mantra goes like this: Sahasrashirishah Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishthad dashangulam Purushaye Vedagum Sarvam Yadbhutam. Purushaye Vedagum Sarvam is the second mantra. Purushaye Vedagum Sarvam Yadbhutam Yacha Bhavyam Utamritatvaseshanaha Yadannenati Rohati. Now let us see what the commentators have to tell for the first mantra. Sahasrashirishah Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishthad dashangulam. Sahasrashirisha. What does the word Sahasrashirisha mean? In general, Shiras means head, Sahasra means 1000, Sahasrashirisha means 1000 heads. We will see where these 1000 heads are. Sahasrashirobhir yuktaha Sahasra shabdasya upalakshanatvam anantaihi shirobhihi yukta ityartaha. Sahasra shabdo bahutva vachi sankhya-vachakatve sahasraksha iti virodaha syat netra sahasradvayena cha bhavyam tataha sahasram asankhyani shirshani shiramsi yasyaha saha shirsha chandasi iti shiraha shabdasya shishanadeshaha. Sahasra shabdo bahutva vachi. So, it is plural in nature, says the commentator. Sahasra denotes plural in nature. What did I say for Sahasra? It means 1000 I said. So 1000 is plural. 1, the number 1 is only singular. If I say I have 1 pen, it is singular. I have 1000 pens, it is plural. So what is so surprising that he is saying here is, he says Asankhyani Shirshani Shiramsi. Now while we are describing Purusha in the Vedas, Rishis have wanted us to think do not restrict the word Sahasra in Purusha Suktam to the number 1000. Because if I say that this Paramatma, this Lord has 1000 heads, then if I show some other creation which has got 1001th head, then that creation will say, I am better than Paramatma because he has 1000 heads and I have got 1001. So this 1000 or 1001 doesn't denote the number, it denotes infinite, it denotes that which is limitless. Suppose if somebody is serving me vegetable while I am eating, I say, no, very little, just serve me very little. Instead of using the word very little, in the Indian context we will say, sirf do dalna. Will they count one aloo and two alus and put it there? No. When I say 2 or 1, it denotes give me very little. They know based on our intake what is little. Similarly, Parabrahmam is denoted by the word Sahasraraksha to say he is infinite and not to restrict him to the number 1000. Atha Sahasraraksha Devam Ityaparo Narayana Anuvako Bhavishyati Yatra Paramatma Pranavakhyo Narayanaha Pratipadyate. Now, I am reading all these lines in Sanskritam because if it is a superficial explanation of the Vedas, then one need not attend this course at all. If we are participating in this course, be it me who is also a participant, be it you who is also a participant, we need to go slightly deep into the Vedas. To go to the depth of the Vedas, we need to understand the commentaries given by Uvatacharya, Mahidharacharya, Bhattabhaskara, Sayanacharya and Rangaramanuja Muni. These 5 have commented on the Purusha Suktam. Now I am reading out from their commentaries. Now there is another line in the commentary. Atha Sahasraraksha Devam Ityaparo Narayana Anuvako Bhavishyati Yatra Paramatma Pranavakhyo Narayanaha Pratipadyate. Now who is denoted by the Purusha Sukta or the words here? Narayana. Now Narayana Anuvako Bhavishyati. So this particular portion of Purusha Suktam itself is called in certain texts as Narayana Anuvakam. Sahasra Shabdaha Ananta Vachanaha. Now Sahasraraksha denotes thousands and thousands and thousands of heads, infinite. What does the next word mean? Sahasrakshaha, Sahasra Netra Yuktaha, Sahasram Akshini Yasya Saha. The one who has got 1,000 eyes. Again it means thousands and thousands of eyes. Let us imagine we are restricting only to 1000. So there are 1000 heads. Sahasrakshaha, 1000 eyes. That means there is only one eye in that face. To imagine such a face itself is tough. Imagine 1000 heads with one eye each. It will be so tough. So here Akshi means eyes. Thousands and thousands of eyes. Now, what does the word eye denote here? Eye is that particular sense organ that we use for seeing, so for perception. So how and whom could this particular word Sahasraksha denote was a question that I took up as a project. In the south of India, in the state of Tamil Nadu, close to its capital Chennai is another important town called as Kanchipuram. Kanchi is famous for its silk saris. Besides silk saris, Kanchipuram is also famous for over a dozen number of large temples. In those temples, Kanchi Varadaraja Swami temple is very famous and is highly followed and respected. In Kanchipuram, in Lord Varadaraja Swami temple, it is believed by our Purvacharyas that the Lord there is the best ophthalmologist. He grants people the eyes to see. So we have certain anecdotes to it. During the times of Rāmānuja, 1000 years before, when Rāmānuja was an extremely well-read and practicing Vaishnavite, the king who was a Shaivite wanted to kill Rāmānuja. So he asked Rāmānuja to come to his court, but knowing the plan of the king, Kuresha, the son of the student of Rāmānuja, felt that in order to protect his teacher, he has to assume the role of his teacher and go to the court. As he went to the court, there was a debate between the king and Kuresha, and at the end of which Kuresha's eyes were removed. So he became blind. On his return to meet Ramanuja, Ramanuja started crying and was not consolable at all. He said, "For my sake you have lost your eyes. So please consider my request. Go to Varadaraja of Kanchipuram and ask for your eyes." So as Kuresha came to this sanctum sanctorum of Lord Varadaraja, he sang this verse. Tato, so he says like this. Neelamegha nibha manjana punja shyama kuntalam ananta shayam tvam abjapani padam ambujanetram netra satkuru karisha sadame. The one who is on this hillock of Karisha, please give me, hey Karigiri, hey Karigiri Vasa, hey Karisha, give me the eyes. So he asks the Lord to bestow him with good eyesight. Prior to him, there was another life history of his Acharya called as Kanchipurna. Kanchipurna had a grandfather who was blind. In order to request the Lord to grant him eyes, Kanchipurna carried his grandfather on his shoulders, went to Kanchipuram to request the Lord. Here is the verse that describes it. Haritavarana bhritya samahvayam karigirau varadastvam apurvikam drishamalambhaya evahi sundara sputamadascha parashata midrisham. So please grant us the eyes so that my grandfather can see you. So be it to Kanchipurna's father, be it to Ramanuja's Sishya called as Kuresha, there have been immense instances. In the Purānās, there is this charitram of a rishi called as Utatya, who was married to Mamata. As Mamata was pregnant with the child of Utatya and Utatya had gone out of the house, Utatya's younger brother, who was Brihaspati, wanted to have a relationship with Mamata. But the child in the womb and the mother who was carrying the child resisted. Brihaspati felt very humiliated upon this resistance, though he was not aware that his act itself was very condemnable. So he cursed that the child should never see the light of this world. So the child was born blind. He was called Dirghatamas. So this Dirghatamas is said to have prostrated to the Lord of Kanchipuram to obtain his eyes. So that Lord who gives us eyesight is now denoted by the word Sahasraraksha. Very interesting. In our Purānās, Sahasraraksha generally denotes Indra, because Indra was cursed by Gautama Maharishi because he had an immoral relationship, an unethical relationship with Gautama's wife called as Ahalya. So Gautama curses that there should be 1,000 private parts of the woman visible on the body of Indra. But Indra went to the Dvipam, to the island which is between Bharata Desham and Sri Lanka called Nagadvipam, and prayed to goddess Parvati, who appeared as Indrakshi and transformed all the 1,000 private parts of the woman visible on Indra's body into eyes. So he is called as Sahasraraksha. Tato mandanilodbhuta kamalakara shobhina gurum netra sahasrena nodayamasa vasavaha is this beautiful verse. So he transformed all of them. So does the Sahasraraksha word denote Indra? No. It denotes the one who has got thousands and thousands and thousands of eyes. So this is Sahasraraksha. Next comes Sahasrapat. What does Sahasrapat mean? Sahasra charanopetaha pada namanganam sahasrani yasyasa sahasrapat. The one who has got 1,000 legs. Again, thousands and thousands of legs. It could also denote the sun. The commentator says Sahasrapat could also denote the sun because as the sun travels in the sky, he comes with the thousands of rays. So it could mean the one who has got thousands of rays, who is the sun. Now, what do these three words denote? Sahasra Shirisha Purusha, that Purusha who has got Sahasra Shiras. Sahasraksha, the one who has got 1,000 eyes. Sahasrapat, the one who has got 1,000 legs. What do these three denote? Here, Sahasrapadattvena Sarvagatatvam. Sahasrapadattvena, the one who has got 1,000 legs, denotes that he has got the quality of sarvagatatvam. He can go around anywhere. Next is Sahasrakshatvena, the one who has got the ability to see everything from anywhere. That is sarvadarshitvam. Next is Sahasrashirshatvena sarvadharatvacha, like how the face, the mukham, supports the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth and the teeth. So does the Lord support the entire characharam of this world. So Sahasrashirshatvena sarvadharatvacha. Now, this particular form of the Purusha, Sahasrashirsha Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapad. Now, where is he? What is he doing? Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva, the one who is measuring all the worlds. Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva. But where is he? He must be somewhere else. He must be very big. No. Atyatishthad dashangulam, the one whom you are searching, the one who has measured the worlds is nowhere else. Atyatishthad dashangulam, the one who is found in dashangula. What does dashangula mean? Here, dashangula is being said as the one who is found in the distance between 10 grains arranged one after the other. So, if we have got dashangulam, it is arranged the grain is arranged one after the other. The length that comes between the first grain and the last grain is dashangulam. So, he is found in dashangulam. The next meaning given is dashangulam also means that he is found between the upper jaw and the lower jaw. I open, the distance between the upper jaw and the lower jaw, that is dashangulam. So, the Lord is found as dashangulam in all these places. Next, dashangulam also means the beginning of the forehead to the bottom of the chin. So, he is either found here, that is dashangulam, or one after the other, the grain arranged. The next part is, he is found between Brahmarandram. Here is where the Atma can exit if it has to go take the 101st part called as Sushumna Nadi. And here is a Hridaya Kamalam, right next to the diaphragm. That is a small, believed to be a Sukshmam, subtle, inverted lotus with the Jivatma in it. So, that could also be Dashangulam. So, Purushaye Vedagum. Now, Sahasrashirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishthad Dashangulam. So, Dashangulam here essentially means the distance. That is why, to show that he is pervaded everywhere and is also found in Dashangulam, the Lord in Krishna Avataram opened his mouth and showed the entire universe in it. So, that is Dashangulam. So, the Purusha stays there. So, says this particular shloka.